Hey, it's Enigma Hood. Today I'm going to talk about my home country, a little bit about the ethnic conflict, the civil war in Sri Lanka. I mentioned this a few times before, I mentioned it on my channel, but for those who don't know, I am originally from Sri Lanka. It is an island off the coast of India. It's a small country. And the Sri Lankan Civil War is an ethnic conflict that has been going on for over 20 years. It started in 1983. That's when I was born. The two ethnic groups are made up of the Sinhalese majority, and that's what I am. I'm Sinhalese, and the ethnic minority, which is the Tamils. And it is primarily motivated by the oppression of the Tamils at the time. And basically, there were government laws and things like that which inhibited freedom and equality towards Tamils. And unfortunately, this is the reality for any ethnic minority in any country, especially in democratic institutions. And this is what, we keep talking about how great democracy is, and it is good. However, there are major problems with it. In any country that has democracy, the power will always be with the majority. It's what's going on in America. It's what happened in America. And it's what Americans don't understand, and why I keep espousing that everyone should be in favor for minority rights. Because the power is with the majority. And since they have the power, they can exert it, and they can use this power to discriminate and oppress the minority. It's what happened in America, and that's what precipitated the civil rights movement. Okay, that was a non-violent struggle for civil rights, although, as I discussed in another video, there were voices for violent resistance as well. Well, in Sri Lanka, we have the same exact thing, except this one is a violent struggle, and it has been raging on my country for since 1983, so it's 2009 now. How did this ethnic conflict really begin? Well, we can trace this back to colonial times. You can always go ahead and blame the British. The diabolical British were pretty fucking smart. They knew how to colonize well. They had done it for so often, they have become experts at it. Basically, they used divide and conquer tactics. It's the same thing that happened in Rwanda, and the Belgians did it there too. Basically, you take the two ethnic groups and you make a sharp divide between the two. You get one against the other. You rule the other through proxy, so that when the colonizers, the Europeans, in this case the British, are trying to exploit the country, they're using the proxy to exploit them, so that the people will take out their anger against the proxy, not against the British, not against the Belgians in Rwanda, but against the ethnic minority which they are using. In Sri Lanka, they used the Tamils. And it's unfortunate because it's all the British's fault. And in the case of Rwanda, it was all the Belgians' fault. But the fact is, that really doesn't matter, because the two ethnic groups are then at each other's throats. And that's what happened. So, let's fast forward to today, and it seems like the Sri Lankan Civil War is about to end, or it's getting close to, and there are many voices among Tamils in other countries like America, Canada, Australia, who are sensationalizing and trying to say that there's a genocide going on, when in fact the only thing that's going on is that the Sinhalese government, which is the Sri Lankan government, is trying to defeat Tamil rebels, which is called, the main group, which has wiped out all the other smaller groups, is now called the Liberated Tigers of Tamil Eelam. Eelam is the country that they want to create, a separate state in this tiny country of Sri Lanka, which they want to call Eelam. The LTTE is classified as a terrorist organization by the United States of America, by the United Kingdom, by India, and of course by Sri Lanka. To give you a little bit better understanding of what the LTTE is doing, well, check out this video. Okay, so here we have a video, and this is actually one of the few videos ever recorded that actually depicted a terrorist attack. In this video, I want you to concentrate on the woman wearing the sari, and she's wearing an orange-ish top. Notice how she's keeping her arms down. This is, I'm going to tell you right now what's going to happen. She's going to blow herself up, and the way you activate the device is she is going to lift up her arms, and then the device will activate and it'll blow herself up. Now here she comes in, she's going to sit down. There she sits down, she's in the orange, wearing the sari. She hands over her papers. Basically she was trying to assassinate someone, but she got trapped. She was not able to get to him. Now here she comes, she stands up, boom. You may have noticed her head popping off. You will notice that this is not normal behavior. The fact of the matter is, terrorist organizations like this are very similar to cultist organizations. No different, I would say, than People's Temple or Aum Shinrikyo. They brainwash people into doing things that human beings normally would not do. It is a cultist mentality, and I want you to keep that in mind, that this is brainwashing at its worst. People are not supposed to blow themselves up and kill people. Well, let's move on, shall we? Now, in America and Great Britain, there has been a singer, which you may have heard about. Her name is M.I.A, Missing in Action. Some people call her M.I.A, I guess. Well, check out this video. Now, M.I.A, or M.I.A, is a Sri Lankan Tamil. She's a Tamil girl. And on the surface, she looks like a talented young musician. However, her father is an LTTE terrorist. And in her music and in her videos, she submissively tries to promote the notion of rebellion against the Sri Lankan government and killing people. It's kind of a conniving thing to do, to just slip it in there to people's minds. But it's there. And when you listen to her lyrics, you can hear it. And especially when you watch some of her videos, you can see it. This is, well, it's something that people need to be aware of. I understand that, you know, as I explained in the beginning, there really is no right or wrong in this conflict. I want people to understand that. However, it's about as right or wrong as the conflict between America and Al-Qaeda. Okay? You can technically say that there is no right or wrong in that. And the fact of the matter is, we are dealing with terrorism. And Sri Lanka is in a position to demonstrate to the world how to defeat terrorism once and for all. And we have to understand that the LTTE must be defeated, similar to how Al-Qaeda and Osama bin Laden must also be defeated. You may be hearing voices of dissent here and there, even from the American government asking for a ceasefire. Well, a ceasefire was tried before. After 2001, America underestimated Al-Qaeda, and Al-Qaeda attacked them. After this terrorist attack, they started labeling many groups around the world as terrorists, who are terrorists. They finally woke up and labeled the LTTE as terrorists. And then that's when the ceasefire occurred, because the LTTE was afraid that the United States would support Sri Lanka in their fight against terrorism. So they asked for a ceasefire, and Sri Lanka gave it to them. However, during the ceasefire, the LTTE regrouped, rearmed, and became stronger, and during this time they actually created a navy and an air force. So the whole point of the ceasefire was simply for the LTTE to get stronger. And during the ceasefire, they carried out many attacks and killed many people. The ceasefire was ended by the Sri Lankan government, who had enough, and then was resolved to defeat the terrorists once and for all. And now you will be hearing voices of ceasefire, people wanting a ceasefire. However, at this point, this is not acceptable, because all it would do would be to allow the LTTE to regroup and rearm. At this point, the only acceptable outcome is either the complete defeat of the LTTE or the LTTE to surrender.